Tonight on The Buzz from the Santa Monica Pier in Santa Monica, California, a day before Florida State and Oregon clash in one half of the first ever college football playoff, the two head coaches weigh in on the battle one final time.
They're just unflappable.
We don't ever look at ourselves as an underdog.
We get socially acceptable with former FSU quarterback Christian Ponder's wife Sam to find out how she balances being a full-time mom and working for ESPN. Plus, we sit down with a local sports psychologist to get into the mind of FSU quarterback Jameis Winston.
When he's in a game, he's focused.
Also, we're taking you behind enemy lines as our Oregon Ducks guru shows us how the Ducks fans are partying in SoCal, and he reveals his challenge for FSU fans.
Just want to let all of you Noles fans know that it is time for the Ducks to win a national championship.
This is The Buzz, FSU's road to the national championship, live from Santa Monica, California. Hello, everybody. Chris Porter live here in Santa Monica, California. As you just heard, a gorgeous day here in SoCal. You know, they say the folks in California know how to party. They also know how to enjoy this great weather. This is the calm before the storm. This time tomorrow night, Oregon and FSU will be going head to head in the first half of the college football playoff, the first ever college football playoff, with the winner taking on the winner of the Alabama and Ohio State game. Meanwhile, today at their final presser, the two coaches got an opportunity to pose with that Rose Bowl trophy. A lot of media there this morning. One of these coaches will be hoisting this trophy on tomorrow night. Both coaches talked about how solid the opponent's team is. They also raved about their teams, but they also have a great deal of respect for the players on both sides.
There's very few holes and weaknesses. Special teams, they cover because they're so athletic and can run. I mean, they're a complete football team. I mean, they really are. And people say, what are you going to do to have success? You're going to have to play well in all three phases for 60 minutes.
You don't win 29 games in a row with luck, ever. They're just unflappable in a lot of ways. They get everybody's best shot. To be resilient enough to come back and win all those games is, again, very, very impressive. They just make a ton of plays when it matters the most.
By the way, if you've been hiding under a rock and you don't know kickoff time, it's 5 o'clock Eastern time. Meanwhile, this game will feature two of the best quarterbacks in the country in Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston, two guys who have won the Heisman Trophy. Let's take a look at these guys matched up head to head.
He can process what the great ones see. I mean, he sees angles, he anticipates. He has, first of all, he's an unbelievable competitor, and he's unbelievably tough.
He is Jameis Winston, the 2013 Heisman Trophy winner, a quarterback who has never lost a game as a collegiate starter, the man who rallied the Noles at the Rose Bowl back in January to win the final BCS National Championship, knocking off the Auburn Tigers from the big bad SEC. Like him or not, Winston just wins.
Mariota is Mariota. I mean, Marcus is tremendous, one of the best college football players ever.
Marcus Mariota isn't too shabby himself. All the three-year starter has done for the Ducks this season is set 3 Pac-12 conference records en route to winning the 2014 Heisman Trophy. He became the first Heisman winner in Oregon's history. Mariota might not be as vocal as Winston, but like famous Jameis, Mariota is a winner. But only one of the Heisman Trophy winning QBs will be victorious after their college football playoff semifinal showdown. Only one will play for the national title in Big D. And we will be looking forward to tomorrow's game. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better situation. Two of the best quarterbacks going head to head. We just hope that this game lives up to all of the hype. Meanwhile, no better person to talk about two of the best quarterbacks in the country than ESPN's very own college football analyst Kirk Herbstreit. I went one-on-one with him to talk about Winston and to also talk about the challenge that this Oregon offense poses for FSU's defense.
You know, I think that's the highlight coming into the game. Once we saw Marcus win the Heisman, and you go back to what last year, the year Jameis had in Florida State, that you knew that was going to be the selling point of this game. But I think it's really going to be about Dalvin Cook and Royce Freeman. I think the two running backs, whoever has a bigger day, whoever's able to establish the run, take some of the pressure off those quarterbacks, I think that'll be the team that ends up winning.
Could you explain, because we haven't been able to figure it out, how Jameis Winston can have so many distractions off the field but still be able to get it done between those white lines?
I don't know if I've ever seen a guy be able to compartmentalize so much drama and just put it aside and almost use it. It's like his football is his sanctuary. So when he's out there, whether it's at practice and meetings and obviously in the games, that's his way to get away from all that chaos. And now I think the chaos is behind him, at least from what I understand. And now he's able to really just lock in on the preparation and getting his team ready to roll. And I expect him to play the best game he's played all year.
Much has been made about this Oregon offense, fast-paced, up-tempo. How much do you think having played Auburn last year and that quick tempo will help the Nose?
That's a great point. I do think tempo, the experience of being around it and seeing it last year definitely will at least give them an idea of what to expect. But, you know, the big thing to me with these long layoffs, I think the defensive line from Florida State, while they're NFL quality players on that level, to me, when they get in against that tempo, man, it's such an equalizer. And I don't know how you really prep for it other than the background of seeing Clemson and of course, Auburn last year. But it's very different with Marcus Mariota.
And that was one of the things we heard from Florida State's defensive coordinator yesterday. It is so hard to replicate in practice this Oregon offense, so it will be interesting to see how the Seminoles try to attack this high-tempo, fast-paced, duck-quacking offense. Meanwhile, today our partner Chad Kushner, he spent the day all over SoCal. He was running around Los Angeles, and he caught up with former Florida State quarterback Christian Ponder's wife. Mrs. Ponder is a mom. She's also a reporter for ESPN, and like a lot of the moms on the First Coast, Chad, she's trying to have to battle or balance being a mom and being a professional.
Yeah, the difference with Sam Ponder and most moms is that Sam Ponder is in a different city, a different location, different college campus every week. And guess what? She's now a new mom, so she's bringing her 6-month-old daughter along with her every step of the way.
She's been on 68 flights, so that is not normal for a young child, but it's been fun. She's been great. I lucked out and got a really easygoing baby girl, so I'm grateful for that.
Every week, Sam is on the road covering college football games, and even when she's in front of the camera, her daughter's never too far away.
Yesterday I was doing a live shot here and I could hear her crying downstairs, so that's never good. But she kind of comes with me wherever I go. My mom usually travels with me, and so that's made it a lot easier just because I have got family around all the time. And then my husband's done with work right now, so he's here hanging out and taking care of her. So it's kind of a family affair now.
And Chris, one thing I haven't mentioned yet, well, their daughter, Christian and Sam's daughter, her name is Bowden Ponder, named after Bobby Bowden, who both Christian and Christian's father, David, played for. Now, I do want to thank Sam, although she doesn't know it. I took a lot of those photos from her Instagram page, which makes this a socially acceptable segment.
We like it in Kush, while you're not a mom, you are a dad. You truly know the challenges of being a professional and a dad.
And you know what? Sam said at the beginning of the story that her daughter's been on 68 flights in 6 months. My kids, my son is almost 3. He's been on 2 flights, so she's got me beat by 66.
Get to work, Kush.
All right.
Thank you so much, Chad Kushner, showing the ladies some love. Now, hashtag Team Sideline. It has been in full effect all over SoCal since we touched the ground on Monday shortly after 3:30 Eastern Time today. You can see we were at the press conference and there were a lot of people there. We are trying, Precious Goss, the producer, Chad Kushner, my colleague, and myself, to give you a bird's eye view, an up close and personal look at the sights of SoCal, a beautiful, beautiful place. And if you ever get a chance, you need to come out here to Santa Monica, California. Former University of Oregon president shares the story of how 2 of his kids have died from FA, a fatal blood disease that FSU head coach Jimbo Fisher's youngest son is battling. How the disease has brought the president and the coach together and what they're doing to try and find a cure for the disease. Plus, Jameis Winston has had his fair share of troubles off the field and much success between the white lines. A local sports psychologist takes us inside the mind of famous Jameis. You're watching The Buzz, FSU's road to the national championship, live from Santa Monica, California. Welcome back to beautiful Santa Monica, California. You are watching The Buzz, FSU's road to the national championship. And you know, folks, besides all of the talk about what may go down between those white lines on tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, there has been a lot of talk about a disease, FA. It's a blood disease that is sometimes fatal. And we know you guys on our First Coast has heard much about this because Jimbo's youngest son has the disease. Joining me now is First Coast Sports' Joe Dunlin. This is something that both teams or both schools share in as far as battling this disease.
Yes, no question about it, Chris. You mentioned it. It's almost always fatal. This is something that's very serious. Only 1,000 people in the United States have this, Fanconi anemia. One of those, of course, is Jimbo Fisher's son, 9-year-old Ethan. But another one is Amy Frohnmeyer. She is part of a very high-profile Oregon family. The former president of the University of Oregon and his wife know all too well the pain of FA.
Well, as a parent, of course, you're devastated.
Not a day goes by that former Oregon Attorney General and University of Oregon President Dave Frohnmeyer and his wife don't think about their 2 daughters who died far too young.
Kirsten graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Stanford. The world was her oyster. She wanted either to go into public health or law, and she would have done great things. Katie was just set back by stroke after stroke when she was between 10 and 12. But she still had a bright attitude, a wonderful artist.
The girls were 12 and 24, respectively, when they died from what's called Fanconi anemia. That's a DNA repair disorder that leads to bone marrow failure and ultimately cancer. In the late 80s, the Frohnmeyers founded the Fanconi Anemia Research Fund.
You take every opportunity you can to raise visibility of the disorder. I mean, Americans are very generous people, but somebody can't give to something that he or she doesn't know about.
The upcoming Rose Bowl between Oregon and Florida State is bringing a lot of awareness to FA. Of course, the Frohnmeyers are spokespeople for the disease, but so too is the family of Florida State head football coach Jimbo Fisher. His 9-year-old son is battling Fanconi anemia. Lynn Frohnmeyer remembers the phone call she received from Jimbo Fisher's wife.
She said they were private people. Part of them didn't want others to know that they had to deal with such a very devastating problem.
It's so devastating that nearly 100% of people with Fanconi anemia need high-risk bone marrow transplants at some point in their lives. Even then, living past the age of 33 is a challenge. Both the Fishers and Frohnmeyers hope their stories will bring attention to a disease that at this point is incurable.
I think the faith that's helped us is the faith that we can, individuals can make a difference if they enlist the help of others.
It is a terrible fate these two families share, but Chris, as you mentioned, this is a fight that will go on long after this game ends on Thursday. And I was able to ask Jimbo Fisher about it today, and I loved what he said. It really puts things into perspective.
Yep.
And he talked a little bit about, coaching a football game pales in comparison to what he puts up with and lives with every day. But he said that young boy Ethan puts a smile on his face every day. And I know that everyone's hoping that this will raise some awareness about FA.
Thank you so much, Joe, and we hope and pray that they find a cure to this sometime.
No question. They're getting there. They're making progress.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, the other big game that's going down in the other half of this college football playoff is between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Alabama Crimson Tide. That will be the 8 o'clock game. Our insider is there to kind of figure out or ask you the question, who would you rather play for, Nick Saban or Urban Meyer?
The Sugar Bowl features 2 of the hottest coaches in Nick Saban and Urban Meyer, and the game will decide who's better. But the question we have is, who would you rather play for? When it comes to the resume, you have to give the edge to Saban, who's got 4 national titles at 2 schools. Meyer has 2, both from Florida. But you can't argue with the turnaround job that he's done at Ohio State. If you want to play in the NFL, you want to play for Nick Saban. He's got 14 first-round picks just since 2009. Urban Meyer has Tim Tebow. And when we're talking style, once again, you got to go with Nick Saban. He may not have the Bears houndstooth hat, but those straw hats are pretty sweet. Who's more fun to play for? If I had to choose between Urban Meyer and Nick Saban, I think I'd go Les Miles.
Jameis Winston is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. How he's able to block out the pressure, fight off the off-the-field distractions, and perform at a high level every week on the field. You're watching The Buzz, FSU's road to the national championship, live from Santa Monica, California.
We don't ever look at ourselves as an underdog. I've never walked on the field and thought I was an underdog. Our team has never walked on the field and thought it was an underdog. And that does not motivate. I mean, you look at I never knew we were a favorite. all those other games. I don't look at that. We look at ourselves as we got to go play well. We have a great opponent, and if we play well, we'll have success.
As you heard there, Jimbo Fisher saying, although they're 9-point underdogs, they're not fazed by it. Remember, folks, they won 29 straight. Now, their quarterback, Jameis Winston, we know about the success he's had on the field. We're also well-versed in the issues that he's had off the field. So we sent our own Courtney Jones to a local sports psychologist to try and get us inside the mind of famous Jameis.
When he's in a game, he's focused. He knows how to rally a team. He wants to win. He's a champion.
Dr. Justin Dorenzo is a licensed psychologist and an expert in behavioral health in Jacksonville. He studied famous athletes and their troubles, most notably Jaguars wide receiver Justin Blackmon. But in Jameis Winston's case, he says sometimes people forget he's so young.
He was 18, 19, 20 when he's done some of these things.
During the height of his Heisman run in 2013, Winston was at the center of a national firestorm, accused of raping a woman. Winston was not charged, and he went on to lead the Florida State Seminoles to the national championship.
People that are gifted athletes and perform well, I mean, they have certain attributes. I mean, they are risk takers, they are impulsive, they're charismatic. And when you have those same attributes off the field, those things can get you in trouble.
His troubles continued. In May, Winston was caught shoplifting crab legs and was suspended from the FSU baseball team. In September, Jimbo Fisher suspended Winston after he yelled obscenities in the student union. And his name has been in the mix of an autograph scandal. Dr. Dorenzo's explanation for all of Winston's troubles is simply,
he's a kid, so he doesn't fully understand consequences like most adults would. Football is a sanctuary. Baseball can be a sanctuary. So it's actually this escape for him.
Dr. Justin Dorenzo says that while much attention has been paid to Winston's off-the-field troubles, he says studies have shown that athletes commit less crimes and have less run-ins with the law than the average citizen the same age. Courtney Jones, First Coast Sports, NBC 12, ABC 25.
All right, folks, we got a big showdown, as you know, tomorrow between Oregon and FSU. But I'm going to bring in my colleague, Ryan Dunlin. Come on in, my friend. He has been behind enemy lines following every step of the Oregon Ducks, and you've got some good stuff for us.
Absolutely. Well, the best part about the pep rallies is you never know who you're going to run into. And the only thing that you can count on is that the Ducks are going to bring a whole lot of passion to Pasadena when they fly south for the winter. Take a look at what I got for you.
Their mascot?
It's the Seminole Indian.
Do you know his name?
Oh, not a clue.
Oh, okay. All right. What city is Florida State located in?
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee, 1 for 1, knocked it out of the park. How about, who is their head coach?
Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher, 2 for 2, I like it. Do you know what their stadium is called?
Swamp.
No, that's the Gators. That's the Gators. I don't think they'd appreciate that. Yeah.
Love it.
Give us the O. But how's your time been in Pasadena?
It's been great. Interacting with a lot of the Florida State fans.
Good.
People have been great, and it's a fun environment. Anywhere you go, I've been to major bowls all over the country and things like that.
So, Ryan, good stuff, my friend. Tell me about the experience. Was it a lot of fun?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, honestly, you guys saw the duck nut there. He was the one all decked out, face painted. I've actually run into him a couple times before, and he is a legend with the Duck fan base. He's at every single bowl game, every single home and away game. It is just a pleasure to talk to him. He actually just won the NCAA Fan of the Year. He won it over the Bucknut, actually, Ohio State's biggest fan. So
I want you to look into that camera, and I want you to challenge every Florida State Seminole fan on the First Coast. Tell them what would you want from them, because you guys are getting the videos in.
I was going to say, yeah, I've gotten a lot of support already. And, I mean, you guys might be the First Coast, but the way I grew up, we are the best coast. So I want to see everything that you guys have from now until game day.
All right, Ryan Dunlin, we'll be looking more from you in the coming hours. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely.
We're back after this timeout. An inspiration on and off the field, how the Florida State Seminoles helped to make a wheelchair-bound student dream come true. You're watching The Buzz, live from Santa Monica, California. A beautiful scene at Florida State's practice. Let's take you to the heart of the game. FSU helped a student who had a long-time dream of maybe playing for the Noles. They created a great moment for him. His name is Peyton Pullum. He is a student at the school who uses a wheelchair to get around because he's suffering from a condition that's similar to cerebral palsy, where he's been to all of the Seminoles practices for a long, long time, or since last year when he befriended former Nole wide receiver Kenny Shaw. Jameis Winston, DeMarcus Walker, and Peyton walked 20 yards while the rest of the Noles huddled around him, cheering him on to a simulated touchdown. Here's Jimbo Fisher.
Kenny Shaw brought him out to practice. He wanted to come to practice, and he was there. He has never missed a practice in the last 2 years. Like I say, the hope you have in life is the key. When you take hope away, you have nothing. He has hope. He wanted to walk. He's walked. He's worked with our strength guys, and they've worked with him, and he did it. This guy's walked 50 yards, and they told him he'd never walk again. I mean, that's what it's about.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the buzz, FSU's road to the national championship. We've enjoyed bringing it to you, and our coverage is just getting kicked off. We'll be back here tonight at 11 on First Coast News. We're going to leave you with a nice scenic shot of Santa Monica, California. It has been a whole lot of fun in SoCal, but we're going back to LA. See you tonight at 11. Good night.